What do you want to tell people who look down on fat people?
I want to tell people who look down on fat people, mind your own business. Period. Hey everybody, it's me again. It's the beginning of the podcast and I want to thank everyone who's watched it so far. I'm getting really good views for a brand new channel, so I'm very encouraged. This week, it's me again. I have another story to tell. I am, in fact, the member of another group that people look down upon, unfortunately. This one here is that I'm a fat person. I always have been. As you'll hear, I've had ups and downs, done a lot of exercising, a lot of dieting. I've lost a lot of weight. I've gotten in really good shape, yada yada. So, that's what I'm going to talk about, and hopefully there's an encouraging message in there for someone. As a 47-year-old who's been doing this my whole life, I have some things that might help young people, young fat people out. So here it goes. All right, so let's start at the beginning. When I was a kid, I lived all over the place. I lived in a lot of different places in the San Francisco Bay Area. It's not really salient other than I went to two elementary schools, and at both of them, the subject of my weight was a popular topic. I was picked on, bullied, shit talked. I don't, however you want to say it. Things like name calling, tub of lard ass, fat ass, double wide, boom bappa, whatever. What I got from my parents when I reported these things, oh yeah, well, they're stupid and you can lose weight, but they're always going to be stupid or ugly or some other idiotic thing that I was supposed to feel good about. It was a bummer to not be like everyone else. And so, you carry that around your life. It wasn't just other kids that made a lot of comments. It was the older people around me, parents, grandparents. The topic of weight in the 1980s was not taboo. People would straight up look at you and go, "You're too fat." I think they thought they were being loving or whatever by pointing out something that was blatantly obvious to you. When I was a kid, my mom had to take me to J.C. Penney's or wherever to get husky pants, which means big around with short legs, which is kind of ironic because I have a big belly and I'm 5'7" adult. I never grew that much, so I still need pants that are big around with short legs. Another time, my grandmother bought me these ugly fancy clothes to go to a festa, and if you know, you know. And she bought me these shorts, and I remember they were size 40 or 42, and I was like 12 or something. And she goes, "Jesus Christ, those are the same size as her husband, who was like a old ass guy." The same guy that those pants were about told me one time when we were camping at Pismo Beach that I should leave and go find myself a fat little girlfriend. And my wife likes to joke that I did. The only way that it really bothered me, other than other people's stuff, the only thing that internally bothered me is that I wasn't as capable as the other kids. I like to ride skateboards and BMX bikes. I took a lot of breaks. I would sit down, my face would be red, I'd be out of breath, run my own PE class, forget about it, stuff like that. But I was also a baseball player, so I was pretty good at baseball as a kid. And baseball is not the most cardio intensive system, so I did okay. Some idiot kids thought that it was okay to punch fat kids in the stomach because they wouldn't feel it if you have a big belly. Hate to tell you all, but if you ever look at professional fighters, they all have really tight stomachs with six packs, and it hurts them less, not us fat guys. So there you go. Middle school, it was starting to transition a little bit to where there was less overt bullying and more just like we're not gonna hang out with the fat kid or whatever. And certainly girls, starting budding interest in girls, that wasn't happening. Then on to high school, certainly not. All of the girls in the United States of America decided, nah, we're not going to talk to this guy. Although I did have some girls tell me, well, I would have gone to prom with you if you would have asked, which I think was a lie, but I don't know. I had plenty of other girls tell me that I had pretty hair or I was really handsome. If someday I lost some weight, wow, I'd really be a prize. And I even had older women and stuff like that telling me. I guess that was supposed to make me feel good, but it didn't. It just kind of bummed me out. I quit baseball when I was like 13. I didn't do any athletics. A lot of the coaches wanted me to play football, which I thought was ridiculous because I was slow and short, and all the other guys were really tall. So I don't know what I would have done in football except for maybe die or something. I graduated high school in the Pittsburgh area, Chartiers Valley High School in Bridgeville, Pennsylvania. I work a full time job as a mechanic for 3 years. All the while, like, there's no exercise. There's drinking and drugging and smoking 2 packs a day, not being healthy at all, just getting heavier and heavier. By the time I left 3 years later to move back out to California, I got on the scale and I weighed around 280 pounds, which I weighed more than that actually because I had a whole escapade with mini T sugar pills for a while where I lost some weight. So I was in rough shape. I got a full time job as a mechanic out here. I started working out with my uncle, and in no time at all, due to the ephedra and Zinedrine, I lost 100 pounds, and I started running and running in races and doing really well with my weight. And then I went on a vacation, met a college girl who ended up being my wife, and I moved back to be with her, and I immediately started smoking, started eating shitty food. We ate all of our meals out of the oven. We made frozen chicken tenders and tater tots, breaded frozen food. All I mean, it was a college student's budget, and I hadn't gotten a job yet, so I was just sort of hanging around. And so it's what it was. I'm just gonna put it on Front Street as a young fella who starts to have an exciting part of his life become activated. You're not supremely motivated to work out anymore once you start getting laid. It is what it is. So I started gaining weight. Got married. We had kids. We moved. We got married when we were 23, and we made it until we were about 30 years old. And I was 330, 40 pounds, and once again got back on it, and I got in shape, started running again, got back down to around 200 pounds, and for whatever reason, this time that was a really good weight on me. I looked good, and just kept running, started running races, whatever, whatever, and then eventually we moved back to California. I might have skipped a part, but that's okay. It's immaterial. We moved back out to California, and we ended up being really poor, and we were sad because of that and some other family crap that I'm not going to talk about. And so, we were having some drinks, drinking some beers, having some vodka drinks, whatever. Along with that, always went a round loaf of sourdough bread and a tub of butter. And that is, we look at each other, look back at that, is that's the worst thing. I mean, there were some really crappy meals in there, like that I can't believe. We used to put 2 baked potatoes under a salad. The amount of pasta that I would eat at a sitting is absolutely unbelievable. So, long story short, got in shape again, moved, and then got out of shape again. Since then, it's been, I don't know, 15-ish years, and finally, I'm 47 years old. It's finally time to start doing it again. So it's been almost about a year I've been losing weight. I decided to do it really slowly this time, although I am on GLP-1, and everyone wants to tell you it's an easy thing and it just takes the weight off of you real quick, but that's a lie. You have to watch what you eat very carefully and work out. And I work out 6 days a week, and I write down all my calories. I'm very strict with it. And I started at an astounding 380 pounds. At 5'7", that's a lot of weight. And now I'm right at the precipice of going back under 300. So I'm doing really great. I got a long way to go, but I'm getting healthy, and honestly, that's the whole reason why I did it this time, for health, which I believe is the right reason. My blood pressure sky high. I started taking blood pressure medication, and I'm starting to have some gout-ish issues. My feet were hurting, so I'm taking pills for that. And I just look like, man, I got to do something about this because I don't want to die early. My kids are grown, and I want to know my grandkids, and I want to spend time with my best friend, my wife, and have a good life. And so I was getting really sick, and honestly, it was hard to tie my damn shoes. Well, I know we're gonna hear this, but I'm gonna say the shit. I found pictures of myself. I was really fat, really huge. My belly was gigantic. And to be perfectly honest, like it started to get hard to do daily things. Like I already said, tie your shoes, fucking wipe your ass, scratch your back, whatever. Like it's just life's really hard. I just had to get into it, and I've been doing really good. So I'm proud of myself. Also, a while before that, I started lifting, and I'm pretty strong. I can bench press a lot and stuff like that. So I'm doing good health wise now. Along the way, there's also been a lot of other weight loss attempts that I've lost 50 pounds 7 or 8 times, 20 pounds, I don't know, 30, 40 times. Like it's weight has been a yo-yoing issue the whole time. So it's not just on the climb or on the down. It's all over the place. And for whatever reason, my body wants to be heavy. As soon as I take my foot off the pedal, as soon as I let my attention slip a little bit, boom, it packs on like crazy. And every time it's more weight than the time before. So literally at this point, I'm thinking of it as life or death. So I need to hang in there and keep doing the right things for the rest of my life. So let's talk about how fat people are perceived in society as lazy, stupid, lacking willpower, any kind of negative connotation that could possibly be. Currently in this day and age with the internet and social media, you have a lot of people who are trying to make a buck, claiming that they're fitness influencers or whatever. They're peddling bad information. Calories in, calories out is a baseline only. That is not; those aren't the only factors. Especially as you get older, there's cortisol, there's hormones involved, especially for women. There's a few other things that determine sort of how your body is going to behave. Yes, you can control your weight, but for people who are obese, getting fat is your body's preset. Once you get super fat, that's your body's preset. And you could look at any celebrity who's lost a lot of weight, they always gain it back. And I don't care how skinny they get. It's fair to say that fat people are looked down upon in society for they're discriminated against in the workplace. People don't want to hire fat people. I personally have had people take wide, gigantic berths around me in places like grocery store aisles where there's no reason under the sun. I'm not that fat. Okay, my fellow fatties, this one's for you. I'm adding this section to the video specifically to share embarrassing food stories. Alright, so let me set the scene. I am at my grandmother's wedding to her second husband. And there's obviously a big feast for this guy was 80 years old, had a million friends, and so they had a huge feast at his raisin ranch. So I don't know if that's the right term or not, but here we go. Huge meal, and there's a big aluminum tray of rice pilaf left. And as a little fat kid, I loved rice pilaf so much that all night I laid there in bed thinking about this rice. And in the morning, when I went to get some, I found out that they threw it away. And my little fat ass literally cried about it. I was so sad. So there you go. That's story number one. Story number two, my mom was cooking this amazing tray of lasagna all day long, just slow cooking it. The whole house is just filled with the aroma of bubbling cheese. And the timer went off for whatever reason, my little brother decides he's going to take it out of the oven. Well, the little idiot didn't have the pot holders right, and it burned him, and he dropped the tray on the ground and bust the glass pan into a million pieces along in the lasagna. It was ruined. And I ran over to him and punched him in the head as hard as I could. And he took off running, and I chased his ass, and he slammed the door and broke my finger. And so that's a class A fat ass story if I've ever heard one. Another fat story is I love this Chinese place in Hayward, California called China Cook. I started eating there in the year 2000 when I moved back out to California and got in shape and stuff. I would eat there once in a while. It was a cheap meal. Well, later on, I ended up eating it all the time, and it was right across the street from the hospital. My wife gave birth to both of our kids there, and literally it's across the street. So I don't remember which kid it was, but I ate to go a huge to go order of Chinese food 3 times in one day. And back in those days, this place really hooked you up. So that was a ton of food and a ton of MSG. And so I don't know how I did it, but that's a crazy day of eating. This one might be the most shameful, although I'm sure I'm forgetting some, but this one involves insulting the most important person in my life. I forget what happened, but I yelled at someone while we were driving through the drive-through of Burger King. Burger King drive-through. I yelled at someone. She acted scared, and it freaked me out. And so I started getting mad at her, and she spiked her burger off the ground. And I said, in one of my most famous quotes, although not the most famous quote, I'm not going to share on this video. We'll save that for a later episode. Uh, what are you, retarded? What are you, a retard? I forget how I put it. But yeah, so the wasting a burger caused me to insult my best friend. So there you go. Alright, so sometimes being fat is funny. For instance, I don't know how many times I've almost and eaten shit trying to put on my underwear because you get one foot stuck in there on the way and boom, down you go. I didn't know this for a long time until my rude ass son told me that I had played golf for years, and every time I teed up a ball, my ass crack was out, and everyone that we played with could see it always and forever. This little prick didn't tell me for years. Sometimes in the movies, the way fat people are portrayed is hilarious. Sherman Klump. Sherman, Sherman, Sherman. Like that, the whole Klump family is hilarious. They're funny fat people, and they're farting, and obviously they're trading off stereotypes. But it's funny. Another time that a portrayal of a fat person in a movie was funny was Stand By Me, and the little story that he's telling about the pie eating contest with the townspeople saying "Boom Bappa" to a teenager, and then he gets his revenge. The whole situation is really funny. Everyone throws up. You know what? That's This is actually kind of a separate thing. There have not been a ton of great representation of fat people as normal people, but one show that I think stands out is Roseanne. Dan and Roseanne were heavy people in the whole run of the show. They were perfectly normal, everyday people. They worked hard and they loved their family and they were normal people. And I think that was good representation. Especially funny the episode where they each called each other fat and Dan threw the couch out the front door. But like representation hasn't been that great, but Roseanne was a good one. I was sitting somewhere and I heard a parent tell their little kid, "Don't you ever get like that." And so, you can't bully me. I have way too much experience in this stuff. Like I said before, I've been fat my whole life. You can't hurt my feelings. I know where I'm at. I work hard at this shit. So but I think a lot of other people who aren't as steeled, who aren't Gen Xers, who don't have the gear to deal with stuff like this is terrible for them. And so I think that with the pressure from media, from every angle, influencers, it's a hard life it's a hard thing to deal with because you're stigmatized so severely. All right, so another issue of being fat is buying clothes. Obviously, if your body's bigger, you need bigger clothes. The companies that sell the bigger clothes aren't the ones where everyone else shops. You can't go to the mall and get a new shirt like everyone else. You got to go to a special, what I call fat fuck store. And you go to the fat fuck store, and all the clothes they have are really ugly and expensive. Like crazy expensive. And it's only a little bit, in the long run, it's only a little bit bigger than the biggest size they sell at a regular store. But it's demoralizing the whole process. It's like once you get to a certain size, All you get is ugly ass clothes. You have to dress like a jerk off. It used to be this company, this brand called Big Dog. And it's like, oh, I'm wearing a Big Dog shirt. Everyone knows I'm a fat ass. I mean, obviously people can see you, but at the same time, it's like, well, that guy's got the fat ass clothes. He's made it to the point where he can only buy clothes at the fat fuck store. And, I say things in a rude way, but it's how I deal with it. Thankfully, right now on this journey, I'm starting to edge down. I'm almost back in the regular store. Like I said before, I went from 5X to 3X, and 3X is fitting rather comfortable today. Like this beaver duck shirt that I just got. Anyway, so it's just another thing. And I don't know if I know fat people know this, but I'm telling people who might not be fat people who are watching this video. It's another thing that maybe you haven't thought of, but it's a real pain in the ass to buy clothes. All right, this one goes out to the young fat people. Try and take care of yourself while you're young. I understand where you're at right now. Life feels like it goes on forever, but I assure you it's going to go by quicker than you think. And as a fat person, once you get to your like mid 40s, if you're real heavy, you're going to start taking on health issues. And it becomes scary really quickly. Like when I found out how high my blood pressure was, it really freaked me out because when one of your life signs is off, that's terrifying. It means that you're headed down the road to an early death, and you don't want to face that down. Now, I understand that being heavy is really fraught. You need to get it. It's hard because it's sort of a conundrum. You need to learn to love yourself where you're at. You need to accept that you're a fat person. You need to accept that it's a part of your life and it's going to be a part of your life. It's a struggle that you have to be in for the whole time you're alive. But it's very important to have in your back of your head, at some point I got to take care of this extra weight because I'm going to get sick and start having health problems. When I was younger, working out with my uncle, he implored me, hey, stay healthy, keep on top of this, because as you get older, it's harder and harder. And I'm living proof right now that losing weight at the age of 47 is very hard. I'd lose an ounce here, an ounce there. So however you have to get there, and listen, no one loses weight until they're ready in their own head. But however you have to get there, find your way there. Just add a little movement. Watch what you eat a little bit. You don't have to cut any foods out, but just watch the counting calories is like a miracle cure. Once you start realizing how many calories you're taking in, it really helps you change how you eat. And as soon as you get a hold of that a little bit and you add a little movement, you start gaining some momentum. And momentum is what you're looking to start. Once you get a little momentum, maybe your shirt fits a little looser, your pants, and then you start feeling good. And then just snowball. As soon as you get that good feeling, like stay after it, keep it going. Before you know it, you will have brought your health to where it needs to be. You burned off some weight. People are starting to notice you. All the things that you want as a young person. So if I could make a plea to young people, try and figure out a way to get to where you take care of this issue while you're young.
What do you want to tell people who look down on fat people?
I want to tell people who look down on fat people, mind your own fucking business. Period. If you don't want to fuck fat people, don't fuck fat people. If you don't want to be friends with fat people, don't be friends with fat people. If you don't want to interact with fat people, then don't. The thing is, I don't know where people think they're gonna get by being like, you're fat, you're this, you're that, you're the other thing. You don't know what anyone's going through. You don't know if that person who's real heavy, who has problems or whatever, is on their way down. You don't know if this person, you're like, ew, look at that fat person. You don't know if they're struggling their ass off. They have severe diabetes, whatever the hell their problem is. You don't have a clue. So shut the fuck up. I would say this. The majority of fat people that I know, they work out. I do. I work out 6 days a week. I lift weights. I do cardio. I'm on my way down again. But even when I was on my way up, I was still hitting the gym. You can't tell people they're lazy or any other thing. You can't tell me I'm stupid because I'm fat. I have multiple degrees. And I know that doesn't mean that you're smart or whatever, but you know. And also, like, I'm building this podcast and I run a nonprofit. You can't look me in the face and tell me I'm stupid or lazy because I'm fat. The only thing you can tell me is that my body stores extra adipose tissue. And you can, if you wish, call me out on it, but I assure you, when I put on my currently 3X down from 5X shirt, I know that's a shirt that belongs on a fat guy. I know that. I don't need your help with that. And fat people are all aware that they're fat. You're not going to tell them something they don't know. And shaming them and talking shit about them and trying to make them feel bad is all about you trying to make you feel good for how the things that you do in your life. Because yes, you are thin or muscular or whatever your deal is, but you have a limp dick or you can't get laid or you whatever your problem is, you're just masking your own bullshit problems with making fun of other people. Well, that's what children do before you're able to reason and think about other people's life situations. So again, I would tell them to shut the fuck up. Mind your own business. Life's hard for everybody. We don't need you assholes making it harder than it has to be. Period. Other than that, go live your life.